I find AI really useful to improve my English speaking. AI trains me how to use English grammar. I've learnt lots of English words through using AI. AI seems to be the perfect English language learning companion, but is it? Should I really use artificial intelligence to learn English? In this video, I'm going to give you the benefit of my experience of teaching hundreds of students in the last couple of years who come to me all the time and tell me they're using AI to learn English. But when I really analyze how they're using it, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's actually causing them problems. Starting with vocabulary. Of course, AI surely is going to be great for vocabulary because AI can find words easily straight away. And to some extent, I agree. I give AI 6 out of 10 for being a vocabulary teacher. What is it good at? Well, it's good at getting synonyms of words quickly. When you want to expand your vocabulary, you want to know more words with a similar meaning to the basic words you already know. And it can give you the synonyms, it can give you extra information about the words, how it changes for tense or nouns, adjective, adverb, and verb forms. It could do all kinds of things for you with new words. It can also help you create your own tests. So you learn the vocabulary and then you ask AI to make a test for you, and then it tests you on whether you've learned the word correctly or not. That's really good. And it helps you make stories containing these words so you can see how the words work in context. Fantastic. But I would caution you with a few things. It may not teach you the right words. I've had too many experiences where students have asked for synonyms of words. Synonyms, by the way, means words with similar meanings to another word. So they ask for new words to expand their vocabulary, but AI has not got it exactly right and perhaps teaches a word that has the same meaning for one context, but not the right meaning for another context. And this is what I mean when I say here, vocabulary needs the right contextual setting. You need to know more than just words. You need to know when they're used. You need to know which other words they go with, what kinds of phrases they go with. There's so much more. And the trouble I find with AI is it can speak to you in a way that sounds really confident. And yet it's missing key details. You go away from AI thinking, I have learned everything I need to know. And actually you haven't. And it causes you to stumble later on when something you learnt from AI wasn't actually complete. I think there's one other problem as well, which you can avoid if you're a good student, but I find it can make you lazy. Language learning is not easy. It involves putting some effort in. That's why people often say it's good to learn languages by immersion, because immersion is difficult, but the difficulty makes your brain work, and that makes you learn faster. If AI is doing too much work for you, your brain's not working, you're not going to remember it as well, and you actually won't be as effective a student. Okay, but what about grammar? Surely AI will be good for learning grammar rules. Well, again, I give it a fair score, 5 out of 10, because there are some positives, but again, with grammar, there are some negatives to be aware of when you're using AI. Let's start with the positives. First of all, of course, it's cheap. You don't need to buy a grammar book. You don't need to take a grammar course like the one that I've written. AI will give you quick explanations on grammar points. With the basic grammar points, it's usually accurate enough. And it will respond to questions about nuances. What do I mean by that? Well, you get a grammar point, but then you want to ask more. You say, what about this situation? What about that situation where there are certain differences? And it will try to answer your question, although I'll come to that more again in a moment. And like with vocabulary, one thing that's really good about AI is it can create your own lessons. It can create exercises where you spot grammar within a sentence. It can create gap fills for you. It can mimic tasks that you may have to fulfill for examinations. It's really good like that. But again, there are some problems. It makes lots of mistakes, especially at higher levels. And if you've been following my channel for a long time, you know that 2 years ago, I did a study on the word will have. And I tested AI to see if it would come up with all of the rules. And there was one advanced rule that AI consistently told me was wrong. And yet I can prove from examples of real life English speech that I was right and AI was actually wrong. So you can't completely trust AI when you are trying to reach a high level of English grammar. You need to have experts who have taught grammar for a long time, who have analysed lots of examples of real language and have either native level intuition or have so much experience of English that they have that intuition about whether something is right with grammar or not. AI will not give you all the answers you need for advanced English grammar, even though it tells you it can. So it makes lots of mistakes, especially at higher levels. It claims to cover everything when it's actually leaving lots out. And it can't replace experienced teacher instincts. So vocabulary and grammar, yes, use AI, but be aware of the pitfalls. It cannot be a full teacher for you yet. But what about when it comes to speaking? I have a very different attitude to AI when it comes to speaking, and I give AI a score of 9 out of 10 for developing your English speaking skills. I think AI is fantastic for this. It is a cheap and instant way to develop your fluency and increase your speaking confidence. Why? Because speaking is all about you, really. To develop your speaking skills involves taking the grammar and the vocabulary you already know and using it yourself. So the input that AI gives you is not a huge factor here. AI can create conversations with you, where an AI robot will speak to you and you will reply. And so because of that, it doesn't really matter what AI is saying to you to some extent. To develop your speaking skills, you need to have someone who is speaking to you, whether it's a real person or a robot, and then the opportunity for you to reply. So the skills you're developing here is the ability to reply quickly and just the ability to take words and grammar and get them to your mouth and get them out. And AI does also sometimes give you some level of correction with your speaking. It may not be perfect, but it could be helpful. So in terms of developing the ability to give fluent instant responses when you speak, to get words from your head to your mouth, AI gives you the opportunity to do that. So I think it's excellent. One little word of caution is it doesn't always respond in an appropriate or natural way, but I don't think that has to be a problem if just improving your speaking skills is the main thing. And in my course, Perfect English Grammar, I have now incorporated AI speaking practice. After most of the main grammar topics, there is a section in the course where you can speak to an AI chatbot. And not only that, I have trained the AI chatbot to speak on the particular grammar topic and contexts where that grammar will come up. And the AI tool will also give you a little bit of feedback that could be helpful. It can't replace a teacher completely, but it can give you some ideas about where you can improve. So speaking, definitely. Use AI to improve your speaking. That is the best use of AI to learn English. Now on to some other skills. What about writing? Surely AI will be good for my writing. Well, I have been teaching lots of students at university level this year who have tried to use AI in their writing, so I've got lots of recent experience, and this is my score. 3 out of 10. I don't think using AI to improve your English writing skills is particularly helpful, and I'm going to tell you why. Well, let's start with some positives. It is a quick way to check if your writing is reasonable. If it's reasonably correct, you can create a text and ask AI, is this text correct? And AI will give you an answer, and it will probably get some things right. It'll probably make some useful suggestions. However, the positives for me end there. My first problem is if you are a student and you're trying to improve your writing and you use AI, I feel AI does too much of the work for you, which is not helpful if you're a student. If you put a lump of text into AI and AI says, change this, change that, or even worse, here's the text that I would use instead, you are not learning. And if you want to get better at your English, and if you want to be in a situation in the future where you just need to be able to write some English on the spot, this is not going to help you. It's basically getting someone else to do the work. And that's before we even consider if it's correct or not. Next, something about AI is that it has its own style. And teachers and professionals are starting to notice this, to the extent that sometimes when people apply for jobs and they use AI, people are now being rejected for jobs before they even get to interview because the style of writing looks too much like AI. People are beginning to notice what AI looks like, and that could be a problem for your writing. Also, it makes wrong evaluations. And I have experiences this year with AI such as ChatGPT, where someone uploads a text and asks it to grade that text according to certain marking criteria. In the morning, it gives it 60%. And then in the evening, the student uploads the same text again and gets 70 or 80%. AI seems to sometimes change its mind. I don't think you can rely on AI to give you accurate feedback on your writing if you want to reach a high level of English. At a basic level, yes. If you're A2 or B1 level, then I think AI could be very useful to quickly get things right. But if you're at a higher level, AI does not seem to be able to manage all of the complexity involved at the moment. So for me, writing, avoid AI, except if you are really stuck. Now, what about receptive skills such as reading and listening? Well, first with reading, and I have to say there are some benefits to using AI for reading. Here are the benefits. When you use AI for reading, you can kind of have a conversation with it. It could be a friend for you. So you read a text, you're not sure about what something means. AI will probably be able to summarize it, give you definitions of words, and do things to help you follow the reading text. And also, it can create reading texts for you and grade your reading. What I mean by grade your reading is not that it gives you a grade for your reading ability. It can do that too, or try to. What I mean here is that it can give you reading that is appropriate to your English level. So if you are a B1 English student, it could give you a reading text that's somewhere between B1 and B2. In other words, something that's just a little bit harder than what you're used to try and nudge your level up to a higher level. That could be really good. But there are some things to be aware of, such as this, that it's sometimes wrong. Sometimes you will ask it to give you a text on something and it's just not appropriate. It doesn't put the words where it should do. It's using either formal language or informal language that's archaic. There's all kinds of things that it can put into a text that are not quite right. So I'm not prepared to be as positive with AI for reading as I was with, say, speaking. Now, what about with listening? Listening, I'm even more positive. 7 out of 10 for listening with AI, which might surprise you, but let me explain. AI can provide listening practice that's relevant to your needs. It can change speed, it can change level, and it gives you listening practice instantly. Now, I think this is really useful. Even though it may make some mistakes, the thing about English speaking is that people do make mistakes with English speaking, even if they are natives, even if they are experienced English speakers. Everywhere you go, you'll hear people make mistakes with their listening. So I think as long as a listening text is at a certain level and replicates certain features of English, such as a stress, intonation, pausing, things like that, as long as it's doing things like that to some degree, and as long as it mimics a particular accent or variety of English in a close-ish way, it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. The useful thing here is you can get lots of listening practice. You can make it relevant to your needs. You can use it to practice certain features of English. You can get it instantly. So I think that's a real positive. But the negatives here, as I've said, is it doesn't always sound authentic. So if you really want to reach an advanced level with listening to a particular dialect, AI is not going to give you everything. You still need to get that experience of either listening to videos that come directly from the mouths of the people from that place or go to that place itself. So let me summarize my verdict on AI for learning English. Firstly, I think AI is brilliant for speaking practice. I urge you, if you're not doing it already, if you want to get speaking practice in English, use AI as much as you can. It's the closest thing you can get to actually going to a country and finding people to speak to. It's also very useful for listening, reading, and vocabulary. So I would definitely use it sometimes for those skills. With grammar, it can be used, but use with care. It can give you a false sense of security that your grammar is improving when actually AI may be leading you down wrong paths, particularly at an advanced level. And personally, when it comes to writing, I think using AI is actually more trouble than it's worth. It seems to promise everything, but I don't think it's going to improve your English level. Don't forget, my course, Perfect English Grammar, has this feature in it now where you can practice your speaking with AI and get all the benefits that I've mentioned in this video.